Welcome to lesson 6.4. Today we're going to be talking about area, again area, using the distributive property. So now remember, distributive property is when you have a number, say 3, and you multiply it by, so you have 3 times 5 plus 2, okay? Sorry, let me make my paper straight. Distributive property says I multiply this 3 by both of these numbers. So I have 3 times 5 plus 3 times 2. Okay, so 3 times 5 is 15 plus 3 times 2 is 6, which equals 21. All right, so when we have a rectangle, we can find the area. If we have the squares, remember our very first lesson on area, we did by counting up the number of squares, which takes a little while. Once you know your multiplication tables really well, it's a lot easier to multiply length times width. Okay, so length of this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. And the width is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 4 times 8, okay, would give you your area. But in this lesson, they're wanting you to do it a little bit differently, and you'll see why then when we get into lesson 6.5. So in this lesson, they're going to tell you, take your rectangle and split it. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you draw your line. So we've done this with arrays. It's been a little while, but we have done this with arrays before. Remember where you had all the dots and then you drew a line somewhere and you split it. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with our rectangle. So I'm going to draw a line right there. Okay, so I've split my rectangle. So now instead of 4 times 8, I have 4 times whatever this is and 4 times whatever this is. Well, I've split up the 8, right? So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one is 1, 2, 3. 5 plus 3 equals 8. Okay, so when I write it, I'm going to say 4 times 8, which they might already have written for you, equals, I have my 4 times 5 plus 4 times 3. All right, now they're going to, I skipped a step, 4 times 8 equals 4 times, boop, this 5 plus this 3. Then you distribute that 4 to both numbers. So you have 4 times 5 plus 4 times 3. 4 times 8 equals 4 times 5, which is 20, and 4 times 3, which is 12. Then we have 20 plus 12, sorry. 4 times 8 equals 20 plus 12, which is 32. Okay, so this is a little bit more of a roundabout way of finding the area of a rectangle, but it will make more sense in the next lesson, so just bear with me. All right, so in this rectangle, our area is 32 square units. All right, so let's look at some of our examples, some of our problems. You can use the distributive property to find the area of a rectangle. So first you'd break the larger rectangle into 2 smaller ones, which we did in our first example. Then we find the sum of the areas of the smaller rectangles. Okay, so they give us this orange rectangle here, and they want us to break it apart. So they broke it apart right here. Okay, so they had 6 across, 6 down, and 9 across. 6 times 9. They broke it apart, and now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we have 6 times, we keep that first number, and they broke apart the 9 into 5 plus 4. Okay, so then you distribute that 6, you have 6 times 5, and you distribute over here, you have 6 times 4. Okay, so you have 6 times 5 plus 6 times 4. Then you solve. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 4 is 24. And you add those two numbers up. If you need to, you can stack them if it makes it easier on your scratch paper to add. So we get to 6 times 9 equals 54. 54 square inches, because that is what our diagram told us. All right, so let's look at this one. I'll draw it out on the paper. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, and 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Okay, so we're gonna just draw a line somewhere to divide it. So we're gonna go right here. Okay, so we still have 4 times, right? We have 4 times 5 to start with. And I've divided it here, so I have 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. So I still have 4 times, because that's my first number. 4 times 5 equals 4 times, we split it up into 3 plus 2. Okay, now we distribute that 4 to the 3 and to the 2. So we have that equals 4 times 3 plus 4 times 2. All right, 4 times 3 is 12. And 4 times 2 is 8. All right, and then you add 12 plus 8. 12 plus 8 is 20. So you have an area of 20, and it says square centimeters, so 20 square centimeters would be your area. All right. All right, so let's look at this example here. So this is a word problem. So again, when you have a word problem, you've got to pay attention to everything and make sure that you get all of your information out of the word problem as you're going along. So Descartes cuts one rectangular piece of construction paper into 2 rectangles. Okay, so he split that rectangle into 2, just like we've been doing. One rectangle is 8 inches wide and 10 inches long. The other is 8 inches wide and 2 inches long. Okay, what are the dimensions and total area of the paper before it was cut? Okay, so we know that both sets are 8 inches wide. That's the down. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So it says one of them is 10 inches long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the other one is, again, 8 inches wide. So it's that same length going down, and 2 inches long. So 2 across. Okay. So what are the dimensions? So what is the length and width of the whole paper before it was cut? And what is the total area? Well, we know that this is still 8. And it's inches. So 8 inches. Well, this part was 10, right? And this part was 2. So we're going to add those up. 10 plus 2 equals 10, 11, 12. 12 inches. Okay, so the dimensions before it was cut were 8 by 12. 8 inches wide and 12 inches long. And then we would multiply 8 times 12, or we can use the distributive property, which when you've got bigger numbers might be a little bit easier. So let's do that. Okay, so we've got 8 times 12, but they split up the 12 into 10 and 2. So that equals 8 times 10 plus 2. All right, so we're going to distribute that 8. Distribute the 8. So we've got 8 times 10 plus 8 times 2. Okay, 8 times 10. 10s are really easy, right? You can count by 10s, or you just put that number with a 0 at the end, right? Okay, so we've got 8 times 10 equals 80, plus 8 times 2, 2 8s is 16, and then we add. Okay, so 80, if you need to, again, you can stack them. It makes it easier to add. Okay, 0 plus 6 is 6, and 8 plus 1 is 9. So our total area was 96 square inches. Great. So when you have word problems, remember to pay attention to what they're asking you to find. Draw out a diagram if you need to, if that will help. That kind of helped me to visualize it and see I had 10 and then 2 more. And so use diagrams, they do help. And so then when you get into the homework and practice part of lesson 6.4, it's going to be more of the same. They may give you the squares like that, and then you're going to divide it up and then fill in the rest for the distributive property. Make sure to be working on your multiplication because as we do more with area, multiplication is really important, and so make sure that you're paying attention to your multiplying and learning those so that it'll just start becoming really easy for you to do. Alright, so that is it for lesson 6.4. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you next time. Bye!